All right. So I guess Eli, I could say Eli and I, met up over the weekend. We ran up to Boston and met up with Walter to go over the wiki and had some nice conversations about, the history of the project and everything. So, Eli, you mentioned you were going to maybe look at some more mock-ups and stuff.
Yeah, I've been going over the Glypher stuff. It looks really good, and so I thought that was the main thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today, was maybe changing our minds about JavaScript, doing a web activity. Dave, you had mentioned something about that.
What do you think are the advantages?
So Yash, I guess you said that you were working on the GTK3 tutorial.
Yes.
How's that going?
I've already finished that tutorial. I'm just finishing up that floss manual. So I'm going to start making the sugar activity and make the first widget that I told about, the glyph picker. And I start with that. So I should be done with that by 19th, because 18th I won't be able to work. Is that be fine?
You had like a family thing.
Till 19th. Yeah.
I guess the so Walter showed us the Turtle Blocks JS sugarizer activity, and there's this thing called sugar-web, which is a wrapper which encapsulates a web app, like a client-side web app, as a sugar activity for the Sugar Python desktop.
Okay.
It's sort of like Electron. Maybe you know the GitHub Atom editor.
Yeah, I know that.
So it's basically the same as that.
So what are the advantages, do you think, if we shift to JavaScript or web activity on Python? Are there any potential benefits out of it, or again the same thing comes up, like as we discussed before, that web activities can reach a lot more people than a Python activity. So is that the only advantage, or are there some other advantages also?
Well, I think that it's sort of the Glypher Studio has the version 1 has kind of run its course. So the guy driving that project is starting a version 2, and the Metapulator project has also just done a 0.4 release, and that was very pleasant. Ran very fast, for me in Chrome, and seems very powerful. So I think that there's a sort of potential to sort of join forces with the Glypher 2 project, and that they are, the mission of their project is to make a beginner's font editor, which is not exactly the same as making an editor for kids, but it's quite close. And so, potentially, if we were working sort of upstream with Glypher 2, and then we made, like a sugar skin that maybe, has a slightly different layout for the widgets, but the core widgets are the same, then I think that could mean, that the project has more impact.
Then we'll be able to accomplish much more.
Yeah, I know, and you wanted to do JavaScript initially, and so I spent this morning kind of looking at Glypher and like working with it, and it's something that I had used before, but I think it's much more polished now. I hadn't realized that it was so good, and I enjoyed using it.
Yeah, I've used the earlier version, but I haven't used the new one. I'll try that. Yeah. So, okay. what do you think?
So I want to put my vote
change?
in. I'll just put my vote in that I'm 100% okay with switching to JavaScript. I think that's a good idea. But
I'm also totally okay with that. Yeah, that won't be a problem. In fact, we'll be able to achieve many more features actually because we're building upon Glyphr, so the base code will already be there. We just need to shift sugar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the Python-based libraries are that are slightly more advanced, and the yeah. The fact is that there aren't any Sugarizer users, but the Sugar web wrapper that allows you to make a sort of wrapper so that a web activity can run on the Sugar desktop. I think that's sort of an important thing, which I didn't really consider before, because I think for me the decision to use Python was based around the fact that Sugarizer doesn't really have any deployments or users, and there are like thousands and thousands of Sugar desktop users. So
No, Sugar activity. You can continue.
oh no, that was it. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah, a Sugar web activity, this Sugar activity can definitely run on the normal Sugar OSs. So that won't be a problem. We'll already be covering that audience. We'll be adding on to the user base if we move on to Sugarizer. That is what we mentioned in the initial post. Yeah, that was the initial discussion.
Yeah. I guess you were planning to kind of finish with the GTK3 stuff. Maybe it would be good to.
I don't have any problem with shifting to either. So
yeah.
What
I was going to suggest is maybe we can try to do a little bit of both.
Okay.
What
do you have in mind?
Well, so like the first milestone, to make like the the first not milestone, sorry. What I mean is the first widget that I described, right, which is simply listing the glyphs and then rendering the glyphs so that you can see, like a table, like the classic, table of glyphs where you see the glyph and then you see like the name of the glyph underneath it. Very simple table view. And if you can get and set, create a new glyph or delete a glyph, if you can set a glyph's name or its Unicode value, the UFO.js and DEFCON libraries are very similar for doing this.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be useful to try and make that same widget with both platforms, and then we can compare the experience.
That seems smart.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we can let the community decide which one is better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was looking at all the SAS for doing the layout in Glyphr, and it seems like that's an easy way to go. So.
Right. Right.
So should we change the project plan accordingly to add both the activities into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can. I think a good goal is that by the end of the week we have a new project plan.
Yeah.
And that maybe. I mean, we just have to see how it goes. I think if you start with the GTK one, and we make a sort of glyph lister, you make a glyph lister. So I say we. I mean you. yeah, I think Eli, you wanted to continue sort of working on some.
I kind of struggled with doing mock-ups with GTK, so like that was what I was saying. Like looking at the SAS that they were using to do Glypher, it looked like it's pretty easy to do mock-ups that way. But yeah, I guess I like your idea of we'll decide at the end of the week, but let's just keep kind of doing experiments and mock-ups and tests both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I think making a little, character picker, glyph picker, that's like the essential, it's an essential functionality that we would need to have in either platform, and we'll learn a lot from trying to do the same thing, twice, from using the different technologies. And I think using Python first is good because that's sort of the history of the stuff, and that the UFO.js code is less well documented, but it's a straight port. So if you understand the Python code, you'll understand the JavaScript code much more easily.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we can compare the effort that goes into each one of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly a scientific test because you do things, it's easier. But yeah, I think that that I don't know which would be easier. That I can see that writing stuff in Python is kind of easier because it's a nicer programming language. But then maybe the user interface building is going to be more difficult. Yeah.
Both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, and I think it's totally up to you. That for me, like I don't see my role. I mean, I'm not really a software developer, so I can't really, contribute code really directly. And these kinds of technical engineering decisions are totally up to you guys because I'm not. I don't have a good grasp on the nuances. So yeah, I think like Eli said, your proposal was for a web-based thing, and you're more sort of new to Python GTK. So I think whichever way we decide to go next week is good.
So yeah, the first agenda should be to build a one, then we'll see.
Cool, great, okay. Well, yeah. Do you have any more questions?
Okay, so those are related to Python only. Yeah, so I'll ask them anyway. So the flow manual says to build sugar activities outside of sugar, then move them to sugar, because that way testing will be much easier. So should we be doing that, or should we be directly building the sugar for the sugar manual? The manual says first make your activity so that I can run independent of sugar. Then you should move them into sugar. So is this the right way to do it, or?
Yeah, I looked at the tutorial and I think that makes sense, right? The core widget is just to make a GTK3 font viewer widget, right? It's basically the same as TrueFont. Like the experience would be the same. That you run, main.py and it executes, and then like the second stage is then to like sugarize it, where you apply the sugar application wrapper, the activity wrapper code, and then it runs within the sugar desktop, and that's definitely a second step. So I think for this week, you don't need to go into that. I think for this week, it's just about having a Python GTK3 script which can open a UFO and list the glyphs and get maybe set them as well as get them, and then similarly have a UFO.js web page which does the same thing, and Metapilator.
So we can start the project plan for this.
Yeah. And so the Metapilator code base has live examples for all of that stuff for UFO. Let me actually. I think it would be helpful. Maybe I can do a little screen share here. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So go to metapilator.com. and then go to the demos, and then open the demo. And I'm very happy. It's working very fast now. So you add this text preview here, which you can make a bit bigger like this. And so this is yeah, very nice. I'm very happy with this. And so we'll make a clone of this master. So we'll work on clone, and we can make this master wider. And then I'm going to use the up arrow on the keyboard, or the shift and up arrow, and we can stretch it. And then we can preview both of them like this. And then we can go to the mix area, and we can drag these two into the canvas. And then we can make a few clones again. And then we can drag these out and then see them all. And then we can make this one totally the regular. And then this one we can choose where we want it to be. And then with these three instances, we can then export them. And so when we click export, then it kicks off the compilation of UFO into a binary. Yeah. So it takes a little while because there's a lot of glyphs. And we can actually still use the editor while this is going, which is quite nice. Mm-hmm. And so we can upload a UFO. So if I click here, or if I go masters import UFO, and now I need to find a UFO. Oh my god. Shit. I thought I had one on the desktop maybe. Yeah, my tablet test. Yeah. There it is. There it is. So I've got a regular UFO. And I've just zipped it. So this is a regular UFO, very simple, with just a few glyphs in them. Very simple. And so I just right-click this and compress it to make this zip. So then, I think it's we have to wait for the export to finish. I guess while it's running, we could also skip over to Glypher. So yeah, so Glypher is a bit strange. The guy had never made a font before, so he decided to make a font editor. But there's an examples project which is quite nice, so you can sort of jump in and get going with Merriweather Sans. I guess the browser's really getting stressed with the calculations over here. Plus the screen sharing. Wow, don't know what's going on. I think I'm out of memory. Oh yeah, it's cruel. Stop to cruel. Why?
So Dave, do you think we could bring the stroke-based fonts over from Metapilator better than, like, easier with JavaScript than if we're doing a Python?
I think so. I think it's pretty simple. Like,
okay.
If you look at like the Pomax Bezier tutorial.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's really blanking my browser. I mean, maybe this is a good point about, I mean, maybe the screen sharing is also making it slow. And I have like a million tabs open as well. But I think that's kind of one of the advantages of Python, is that I think it's going to be faster, especially on old computers.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of the reason that, like, every time I do try to use the JavaScript-based font editing tools, I always run into performance issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Yash, I mean, I think that's super interesting. You mentioned, like with your space, with your more, your background more with like scientific tools.
Yeah.
I think the sort of profiling and performance, like that's something which.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, optimization, performance are the key things we look at.
Yeah.
So Python or C, yeah, that is what we go for.
But you don't have so much experience with JavaScript.
Yeah, JavaScript is just like I use from a hobby, it's as a hobby. So web tech is just completely a learned basis, just because I like it. Yeah, Python and all, because Python C, I have my courses in it. So
okay.
That's all.
Okay. Wow. Boom.
Oh.
Crash Chrome totally. I think I'm like out of memory. Well, shit. Okay, yeah, boom, there we go. It was really killing it, wasn't it? So the
Turtle Blocks, the Turtle Blocks app works really well. I don't have performance issues with that. So I want to kind of look at what they're doing and.
Right. But yeah, so this kind of curve offsetting is very easy to write the math for. I don't think that there's a problem with that. That's all explained here. And it's pretty. This is what I find frustrating, right? It's actually very easy to write this kind of feature, but it just doesn't exist in the font editors. And so Metaplator takes this to the next level with the CPS technology. Let's see if we can do a demo of that. So basically, the idea is that you have the skeleton of the letter, and then you describe the edge contour as a styling of that. So we can see, for example, that like if we change the weight factor of this to 0.5, it got thicker. And then, if we change the width factor to 0.7, it made it wider. So this is a very powerful, way of dealing with the drawings in a technology level. And the interface is meant to make it possible to, interact with that system without dealing with the code. And it's all working like end to end, as I was sort of demonstrating before I crashed my browser. That you can import a UFO, you can make these kinds of parametric changes using the interface, and you can export UFOs and binaries at the end. But I don't know what the performance would be like on an XO. And I think with Python, the performance maybe can be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave, I hadn't seen the code editing view before. Is there a way you could just send me the link to that?
Well, it's on the homepage.
Okay, I'll find it. Never mind, I'll find it. Okay.
Yeah. So the Glypha version 1 is pretty straightforward. It has some like basic drawing tools, so we can like make the A and like swoop over like this, and then it's kind of weird. Like you have to go up here and then to test drive to actually see what you've done. And there's no way at the moment in Glypha to have this view at the same time as you're editing.
Yeah.
And it does have this really nice thing for 2 windows. So if I do this, you can see that I've got the glyph canvas popped out here. So if I have like 2 screens, I can have like this on one screen and then this on the other. But if I go to test drive, then it says, you want to leave, and then you click leave and it closes the window. so it's nearly working, but it's not quite there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, for this, this is all like very nice. I think. I think they've done a really nice job. They've got stuff like adding common ligatures. You add your FI ligature. Boom. Boom.
The rotate tool they use is really beautifully done.
Huh?
The rotate tool, I thought they did a really nice job on.
How's that? Oh, like this?
Have you used it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite feature.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that this is like it's not bad,
But I think we could do a lot of good as a sister project to Glypher if this was our upstream. Like,
and we were just like skinning it.
Yeah, I think that we could do a lot to help Glypher, and I'm sure they would get a lot out of us using them as an upstream.
Yeah. So yeah, we go to their GitHub. Oh, shit. So they've got the Studio 2 specs and the UI framework. And the UI framework looks like it doesn't have a thing online. Okay, right, so, oh shit, let me close this Windows, over here. Right, so if I fork this to my username, and then make a GH pages branch, and then go here. This, and then it's in dist, and then glyph edit by HTML. Okay, so yeah, so this is their like new design. So yeah, so I think it would be pretty easy to sort of sugarize this, right? And that because this is all happening like in the last few days, that we can just join the project and start contributing. If we add a skin system early on, yeah, or I mean not even a skin system, right? That we just that the core functions are the same, and then we just have different HTML.
Yeah, that would be so easy, and it's nice that there's like a lot of energy around that project right now. So
right,
that might be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do this. There would be little issues about the UI because Sugar has certain restrictions, like the toolbar should be there and it should have the start button there. So yeah, UI has to be changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, to some extent. Oh wow, look at that.
They do need a new logo.
That was fun. That was fun.
Oh
yeah, okay, so he needs a new logo. I've told him about that, and he was like, no, I like it.
Oh, okay.
And then so there's settings.
But I mean, if you're gonna get type designers into it. I don't know.
I know. That's kind of also the thing, right? Is he says like, this isn't for type designers. This is for
for
beginners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't totally buy. You know, it's like the high ceiling thing. But yeah, so this is the settings.
I don't think there's such a solid distinction between the two. Like there's a gray area in between hobbyists
Absolutely.
and professionals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's cool. So I guess we've run out of time. So let's wrap it up. Unless you have any more questions, Yash.
No, not now. I'll mail you if you have anything.
Of course. Yeah. Cool. So yeah. I guess let's catch up in a couple of days. See where things are at with the GTK. And then Eli, I guess you want to explore some sort of web-based mocks. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent all morning just going over all the Glypher stuff, so I'll just keep on that path.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I'll write up a little blog post.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.